Hi there, welcome to this week's Ask Amy. I have a little story to tell you about an experience I had recently. I had the opportunity to go to Colorado with my church to serve as a leader in youth camp. We had middle school students, college age leaders, high school students, and it was a lot of fun. My kids have gone there for years. This was my first opportunity to go, and it was a real blessing. While I was there, I had a little stretching and growing that happened. The first day after we arrived, we got there late on a Sunday night. Monday afternoon, some of the older high school kids and a couple of the college students said, "Hey, Amy, you should go on a hike with us." And I'm thinking, yeah, that would be fun. Let's do that. And they said, "Are you sure? We're going to go up to this point that's really pretty and we're going to take pictures, but it's going to take a while to get there." And I said, "Hey, I'm down. I am ready to go." I had my walking stick, I had my floppy hat, I was ready to go. After all, I go to the YMCA and I'm on like level 9 on the stationary bike, and I can do really well. In fact, I sit there with my little blue hair friends and we visit and talk, and I'm an expert at the Y. So anyhow, I'm feeling pretty confident. So we go out on this hike and we start walking, and first of all, these kids walk way too fast. I want to take my time, I want to look around, and they're just shoo. So I told them a couple times, "Hey, you guys are going to have to slow down, because first of all, there's a lot of rocky stuff here. I don't want to fall. You don't want to have to carry me down this mountain. And plus, look at all this pretty stuff to look at," which was just an excuse. But they were very good. They, didn't take off and leave me. But there were several times as we got going where I really had to stop and take a breath, because we're at like a little under 10,000 feet elevation, and from flat old Texas the day before to that, I hadn't really adjusted yet. And so I'm having to stop and take some breaths and really, be a little cautious, and a little more than I had expected. I just really didn't anticipate that. The other thing that they didn't tell me is this really wasn't a trail. They said this was a shortcut. Well, the shortcut happened to be a area that when the snow melt comes down or when it rains, it all goes to this one area, kind of like a mountainside creek of sorts, and basically wipes out anything in its way. And so as a result, it sort of created this kind of ravine, but it's really rocky and a lot of uneven ground, and it's not a trail. Well, that's what they're taking up this mountain. So there were a lot of areas where we had to kind of climb up, where we had to jump, where we had to do all this stuff. So anyhow, we get a little ways into this. I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm starting to feel a little lightheaded. I thought, well, maybe I need a rest. Maybe I need more water. Well, then it got to the point where I said, "Okay, guys, here's the deal. I don't want to hold you up anymore. I'm going to sit here under this tree, and you guys are going to go on up, go to the point where you want to take pictures and do all your stuff." And the two college kids were like, oh no, Amy, we'll go down with you right now." I said, "No, I want to stay right here." And at that point, I was feeling a little shaky and just didn't feel good. I didn't want to go down. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to lay down. And so I was pretty firm with them. I said, "You are going up the mountain and you're going to leave me here." So they weren't real comfortable with that. They wanted to check my cell phone range, make sure I could text them or, receive calls. They wanted to be sure I had plenty of water. One of them thought I needed some salt, and he had some nuts, and then they wanted to move me under another tree that had more shade. I'm like, whatever. So finally convinced them I'd be okay. And all this while, I am just not feeling right. I felt like something was horribly wrong, but I didn't want to alert them, and I just felt like I needed to just sit for a minute. So they carry on up the mountain. I sit there, finally catch my breath, and grab my backpack and kind of position it under my head and lay back. And then I look around, and it was breathtaking. It was beautiful. You guys in Colorado, I know you appreciate it. I know you enjoy it. Utah, you guys out there, but We don't have anything like that to look at here in Texas. I mean, that's just how it is. So I was just in awe as I just laid there. First of all, I'm, by myself. It's just extremely quiet. Again, this is no trail. You can't hear anything up there. And the kids had gone on, and I just laid there a few minutes, just enjoying where I was, being in the moment. And then I thought, I'm going to text the guys and tell them take their time, because this is really nice. So I said, take your time, guys. I took a selfie, show them I was alive. I said, all is good. Please take your time. I'm really enjoying just being. So they did. They took their time. But as I laid there on my backpack and I looked around and just saw everything, thought, wow, as painful as that was, as much as I just knew I was going to die, it was so worth it. The view was worth it. The scenery, what I could see, just the creation, it was just incredible to me what I was able to see there. And on the way up, you know what? I was dying. I didn't, really notice much of what we were passing, because I was having to stop every few feet and take a breath and get a drink, and it was just killing me. So, it was just amazing. And I ended up dozing off a bit. I mean, it was wonderful. And then the kids came back down, and, going down was a whole different story I won't bore you with. But here's what I discovered is, I was feeling like a total moron. I was feeling like I don't belong here. I'm too old. What was I thinking? And all of that was going through my mind as I went on. But hindsight, and even later that day, and even lying under that tree, I thought, you know what? This was worth it. This was amazing. It was painful. It was awful. It was totally uncomfortable, but it was worth it. And will I do it again? Absolutely. Did I learn some things from it? Absolutely. I discovered later, based on, my symptoms and what was going on, I was a little dehydrated in spite of all the water I'd been drinking, which is crazy. Had a little bit of elevation sickness and some things going on. So, I learned some stuff from that. But here's what I want you guys to take from that is, what situation have you been in recently where you felt like a moron, where you felt totally incompetent, like you didn't belong there, like you had no business doing whatever it was you were doing? Nothing? Nobody's had that experience. Okay? Why not? Okay? Is it because you're afraid? Is it because you're just that good and you don't need to? Is it because you're scared? Is it because you're lazy? I mean, why have you not put yourself in a situation where you feel incompetent? Okay, now incompetent, we're going to redefine a little bit. When I first heard the word, or when I think of the word incompetent, I kind of think of that movie Dumb and Dumber. Somebody who's just stupid and just doesn't get it. But incompetent, as defined by Seth Godin, who's one of my favorite authors, he talks about incompetence as putting ourselves in a situation where we're no longer the expert. And he says that's a good thing. See, that's what I did a couple of weeks ago on that mountain. I put myself in a situation where I was no longer the expert. Yeah, I'm an expert at the Y, sitting by my little blue hair friends. I'm an expert in that situation. But on the side of that mountain at 10,000 feet, I was not an expert, okay? So, here's the thing. If you are always the expert, you've plateaued. You know that if, you're basically at a point where fear keeps you from advancing, but maybe you don't really recognize it. There are things that keep us from getting past that plateau. One is attitude. Thinking that we know it all, thinking there's really nothing else to learn, being negative about change, resisting change because we're afraid, basically feeling like we're owed. Why should I change? I've done this much, and I haven't really been rewarded in relation to what I've done, so why should I do any more? So, attitude is a big problem, and that keeps us from getting beyond that plateau. The second thing that keeps us from getting beyond that is focusing too much on others. All right, here I am on the side of that mountain thinking, oh my gosh, these kids, look at what they can do, and I'm so out of shape, this is horrible, and I was focusing too much on them. okay? Instead of realizing I'm 50 years old in 4 months, 5 months. They're 30 years younger than I am, okay? And this is a totally different deal. And I can't compare myself to them. I have to be better than I was yesterday. Also worrying about what others are or are not doing. I get calls all the time from you guys or emails or texts saying, you know, such and such isn't doing their part. And so, you know what? So what? Okay, you can't do anything about that. Quit focusing on others and focus on what you can do and what you can change. That's another thing that keeps us at that plateau. We justify our complacency when others aren't doing their part, and you become part of the problem. The third thing that keeps us from getting beyond that plateau is fear of being incompetent or fear of making a mistake. Making a mistake or doing something stupid, like going up on a mountain like I did, intentionally with carelessness. Now, if I'd gone up on that mountain and taken no water, worn flip-flops, now that would have just been ignorant, okay? But I went as prepared as I knew to be, but I learned some things from that. Okay, now you don't want to just go helter-skelter and do things without having some level of preparedness and disregard. Okay, but if you are brave enough to take some steps in preparation and try something new and you still make a mistake, hallelujah. Okay, that gets you a step closer to where you want to be. And you may feel really incompetent, but you know what? That means you're learning. Right. Now, let me make sure I define mistakes correctly. It's again, not carelessness. It's not a lack of regard or disrespect for the practice or those in it. A mistake is a genuine attempt to be brave and do something that you know will get the practice closer to vision with preparation. And leaders, if you're not allowing mistakes, or if you, aren't encouraging your team members to make mistakes, again, under those parameters, you're missing out, because that's why your team members are sitting back and not contributing to team meetings and not taking ownership, and that's why you're out there trying to put out all the fires. So allow mistakes, encourage mistakes, let that happen, encourage growth, okay? I learned a lot of things on the side of that mountain that I wouldn't have learned otherwise, and I lived to tell about it. I hope you would do that. A lot of you will be receiving, well, all of you will be receiving your mid-year checkup. Those of you that are brand new in the program within the last month or two won't necessarily be getting that at this point, but everyone else will be receiving that mid-year checkup. So the goals that you made back in November, December, January, I want you to pull out. I want you to get the mid-year checkup out, and that I'll be sending to you in the next week. And I want you to evaluate where you are. Where are you an expert and where are you incompetent? And if you don't feel like you're incompetent anywhere, then, what do you need to try and do differently that maybe you've been holding back on or out of fear have been ignoring? So that's my encouragement for you today. Thanks for bearing with me and listening to my camp stories. And I hope you guys are all having a great summer and that things are going well. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.